in the clinic there as a nurse practitioner, and Della was part of that staff. And during that time, it was so great because Della would cook our meals, but I think we did more eating than anything. I think the corporate office told us we had to stop cooking and eating so much. But, and Della has a history of, she'll tell you about what she's doing here, with my history with her. I just never forget, we was at the clinic one day and Della said, you know, I really want to open a restaurant one day. And she did. She opened up a restaurant in Town Creek called the Potter's House. Mm-hmm. And it was really good. And so this is who she is. And again, a long-time friend. And I'm glad that she's able to come and share with us her passion. And thank you.
Thank you. I want to say hello to everyone. I am Della Taylor. I'm a regional urban SNAP-Ed educator in Madison County as part of the REACH. I'm employed by Alabama A&M University, and we have an outreach program that we actually go out and take this program to the community. It's called SNAP-Ed, and it's usually community members who sometimes are underserved or who may not have an opportunity to be able to go and join a gym or have someone to teach them how to eat healthy, but also the churches and other areas of the community are a part of this program as well. So I'm glad to be here today. And just think of it as your day. This is your day, and this is we're going to learn together. I do encourage everyone to take care of your body, take care of your temple, because we only get how many? One. And sometimes in our neglecting of our bodies, it'll come back on us sometime, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. So we just encourage you all to do things like have a preference of beverages, and that would be what? Water. Because it has absolutely how many calories? Zero calories. Okay. So we often don't realize it, but we have water when we eat our other foods, like our vegetables, even your meats. Everything we have water with the exception of oil. So we're just going to talk about some different foods. I'm going to share some recipes. I'm deviating a little bit from the program because we have our own recipes. But I will do one from our recipe book, but the other ones are just going to be from your basic staples. And that's what I want you all to realize. You don't have to go out to the market and buy very expensive things. You can use what you have on hand to have healthy meals for your families. Now you notice I have no oil, no fats on my table because we're going to cook without them today. And it's possible to do it because we're going to use a lot of herbs and spices, and that's what we encourage you to do instead of using a lot of salt. Actually, I don't think I have salt box here, but I've got some, but I left it off the table purposely. So what we can do is flavor our foods, enhance the flavor of the foods by adding herbs, spices, vegetables. Now, staple in my house is going to always be onions. It's going to always be bell peppers, and usually celery. I'm going to always have those. I use celery, salt, or not salt, but seeds. And if it's garlic, I have garlic, and I don't use the salts, but the powders. So remember that, because when you're buying your herbs and spices, you can actually make your own seasons, because you're just combining a lot of ingredients together, and you're making your own blend of what you like and what your flavor palette is. And I do encourage you all to shop in the market and try new things. Try new spices and herbs you never had before, like curry. Curry is going to be on the chicken that we have today. So I'm going to start with the recipe, and then I'll get to the meat part last, because what we teach in the class also is food safety. So within food safety, that means washing your hands. So before I put my gloves on, I wash my hands. But usually if we're home, we're not wearing gloves on. We're not. So wash your hands often. And even in your water, add some bleach. Okay? You can do that and just don't pour a whole container in. Maybe a cap or half a cap in with your water. And that's going to help to sterilize and clean your area. So you want to do that first. What we use with SNAP-Ed program, and we usually give these out when they're on hand or in abundance, but we have disposable cutting boards. So usually every time I come out and do a class, and hopefully I'll book some classes after this, I know I will. But every time we come out, we have reinforcement items that we share. And some of those that I have today are water bottles. And I'm glad I have some young people here today. So we have water bottles, and I'm gonna get Carlina to pull this because it expands. This one expands. Some of them that we have, and just pull it all the way out. They actually change color, so when you put water in it, pull it all the way out. Carlene, can you pull it, extend it all the way out? Keep going. Keep going. Yes. Okay.
Wow.
So it extends. So it goes from that size to here. So we really encourage you to drink 3 of these, 4 or more, depending on how active you are. So in our water intake, 64 ounces of water is what's recommended. However, if you do strenuous exercises, if you're out gardening, if you're out on a hot day, you want to drink more fluid. And preferably that's going to be your water. Okay. So what we're going to do first, we're going to make a pasta dish. And I took the liberty of going ahead and preparing the pasta. And actually we're going to do 2. Whenever I prepare pasta, I normally boil it. I'll put celery seeds and bell pepper. So go ahead and cut you some strips of bell pepper, put it in with your water. I normally don't add oil because we're trying to do as healthy as possible, and just boil it. And then you'll strain it and you can use your cold water to cool it off, but your flavor is going to be inside your pasta already. So what I do also, I try to use pastas that already have vegetables in it. So if I have spaghetti, which is going to be is in this particular pasta blend, it has spinach and zucchini in it already. So when you're purchasing in the store, your kids may not know it, but they're already getting tomatoes, and they may be getting spinach, squash, or whatever, and it's already blended in with the pasta. So I do recommend that as well. I'm real good on buying generics. Somebody tell me what a generic brand would be from the 2 of these. Which of these? The one on the right or left? What you say? Great value. I'm not going to call a store, but we know where it came from. So, and I really don't even, I don't particularly like shopping in that store because I'm always going to see somebody I know. Then I talk about something in the store or longer than I anticipate. But I prefer to buy a generic brand because then I can control how much salt, sugar, or fat that's in that particular product. I don't care about the packaging. I can care less because I'm not going to eat the package. So I like that it's colorful, okay? But I'm concerned about the contents that's in it. So I want you all to take a note and start reading your labels because it's very important. And what's in it is what's going to be in you as well. Now the calorie size, usually an item like this, it may not vary too much, but some of the other items that they're actually adding things to, it really makes a difference. So you want to make sure and buy the one that has least fat, sodium, and sugar. Okay? So I have these 3 blended. Of course, I only have the great value in it, but I also use macaroni. And when you're doing your pastas, your various pastas, it's okay to use any shape or size. It could be the bow tie. You all name me some more types of pasta. Even if you have leftover lasagna pasta, you can cook it and break it up. Okay, so you don't have to waste it. What are some more types?
So let me ask you about
Shell.
Okay, they're all pasta, but they just shape different. Aren't they basically the same? They just
Some of them are, and then some of them are actually made out of different ingredients. So that's why I want you to pay attention to what's in it. This one has vegetables. Okay. But usually the pastas are an Italian noodle, but you can make them yourself also. You can make your own pasta. So when you do, just choose what kind you have. You can spice it up with the kids if they like a certain type. They may have a little smiley face or with ABCs or numbers. It's all kinds. Variety goes on and on. But I just encourage you, you can actually purchase a box of pasta for under $1. And there's not a lot of things you can buy now that's under $1. But you can buy this for under $1 and yield a lot for your family. And you can also do it as a cold pasta, and then you can do one like we're going to do that's going to be heated one as well. Okay? Anyone have any questions so far?
Is there a difference, like, is it just taste or texture? Like, I started out eating, when we cooked spaghetti, it was thin pasta, but
Mhm.
now I love angel hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that angel hair is a lighter pasta.
It is much thinner than the regular.
It's just lighter in texture as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know if there's anything else to think about.
That's probably it, the texture of how thick it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I want to say linguine. Of course, that noodle's going to be much thicker. And usually in your Alfredos, things that have heavier sauces, that's what you use with those. But it's just a preference. It's not a right or wrong. It's just a preference. But we do encourage you to choose those that are the rainbow colors, because then they're going to have vegetables in them. Just remember that. And also, if you're diabetic, you want to watch your intake of a lot of the pastas too. You can do that by controlling your portion size. So, you know, most recipes you're going to have, you may have some recipes that come down through generations, you don't want to alter it. But you can alter it by the amount of it that you consume. Okay? All right. So let's just get into I'm going to do the pasta that we're going to cook first. And then I'll have my little sous chef over here at the end. So we're going to try, I'm just going to go ahead and add the pasta to my skillet.
I think on the news
wow.
this week,
Beg your pardon?
I think on the news this week, it wasn't this week, it was a late part last week. The dirtiest part in your kitchen, did anybody see that?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the salt and pepper shakers,
Mm-hmm.
because we're touching it after we're handling meat and all that stuff. We're going back to it. We need to wipe that down, you know,
Yes.
at least once a week or so.
And also, when we're using poultry, which I know a lot of times we don't want to talk about it, but in the poultry too, it's recommended that we don't wash it, because we're spreading and contaminating your kitchen with the germs. And because a lot of people, they have washcloths, we call them dish rags or whatever, but they're moving and they're all over the place. And you're wiping down the stove, touching this, and oftentimes you're spreading the bacteria in all these places. So if you get a black light, turn the light off. Okay, I'll tell the story. Also the switch, the on and off switch, the light switch is another one. So you can always get disposable. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, I just want to make sure.
She's gonna back me up on
I'm
that.
gonna back you up on that. I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So with our chicken,
Mhm.
we're not supposed to wash it. So we just take it out the pack and
Because what's and I know everybody's like, no, and I don't want to get into it because that's another class that we do. But if you read and go to the health department, USDA, Department of Agriculture, that's their recommendations, and we follow their guidelines. And the reason for that is the water is not gonna kill any germs. It's only the fire or the heat. That's why it's important to cook it at the proper temperature and for the length of time, and to temp it. But the water is not going to do it. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, y'all gonna jump on me. Do you wash your and you probably might, but when you all make hamburgers, do you all wash your hamburger meat? No. They'll be honest. Most of us do not. So what's the difference? You're gonna pat it out. You're gonna shake your seasoning. You're gonna put it on the grill. You're gonna put it in that skillet.
And chicken is like a meat.
That ground meat probably. But
And the good pork, hot dogs.
yeah, that's right. That's right. The majority do not. Some do. They wash the sodium out. But it's things. And I'm gonna tell you this old cliche: when you learn better, you do better. Okay, and I'm not telling. It's just a recommendation, suggestion by professionals that know better than we do. Okay.
That's right.
So when we come to group settings like this, it's an opportunity to learn and share. But I'm not saying you better do this, and you go home and you better don't eat this amount. We're not here for that. But I am here to share information to you. Okay. And I will give you a background to check what I'm talking about. So www.usda and just Google it. Somebody can do it right now. We're in a land of technology right now. And somebody pull it up while I go on with my demonstration. Said, should I wash my meat? Wait a minute. Okay. So what we've done, we've already washed our pasta. We cooked it, we washed it, and it's here. We're gonna add sauces, which you can do just the canned sauces. And we're gonna also add.
Was that great value to you?
That one actually was on sale for like 98 cents. And oftentimes, if you have a coupon, you can get it a whole lot cheaper than the generic. So in that instance, I will buy it. If it is on sale and I have a coupon to match it, I'm going to use it. And then that's how I can try new products to see if I like them. And this is how the manufacturer like us to do it as well. So I'll add a rainbow color, and to that color comes from our garden, which are vegetables. And we really encourage you to use vegetables when you're cooking to add flavor and savor to your food. And it's as simple as like just cutting up bell peppers. Get the assorted colors, and they taste better when you have an assortment of colors. I know it's very expensive. Some of these are like $2 and $3 each now.
Yeah.
So that's why we encourage you to get you some seeds and plant you some. Get you some chickens and let them. Now y'all live in the city though. I live in the city. Hey, have y'all seen the price of eggs lately? Okay, that's why I'm saying that. Y'all better get your cup of hens and everything. Okay, so we're gonna add to this our red bell peppers. I'm gonna add some yellow. I have some red onions and some tomatoes, and then the green bell peppers. And I do have some white onions too. So I took the liberty while you all were coming in to start cutting and prepping, because prepping is important. How many of us meal prep? Good. And actually I'm doing this backwards, because usually I would saute these in the bottom and then add the pasta, but y'all got me all nervous. I'm just talking about this, washing this chicken.
My mom told us that's the only reason we do it. Something to learn behavior.
Yeah, but if you think about a lot of your seniors that aren't able to do like they used to, and just imagine they probably don't even use bleach anymore. So if they're opening up a pack of chicken or whatever in their sink and they're not able to properly wash it, just think about it. And it's usually seniors, children, and pregnant women who are highly prone to get sick first. So we need to remember that. So for the welfare of the family, basically, is what we try to do. We try to do what's right for everyone. Like right now, wash your hands. It's the number one way to prevent colds, flu, COVID, everything. So just wash your hands often. Okay? So we've added these things. I'm going to now turn the heat up, and I'm going to add some tomatoes. Even though I had some fresh ones, I got some canned ones as well. Because when the price of tomatoes go up in the wintertime, I can't go to the market and get a tomato without paying $2 or $3 a pound for it. So then I'll go to a canned tomato. And then oftentimes I'll get those that already have herbs and spices in it. Then that's going to save me money also. So using not too much more. It has basil, garlic, and oregano. So it has an aroma already in it. So if you're going to make an Italian dish or whatever, and use it with pasta, the seasonings are already there. Although I'll go back and add more, because my palate is really heavy for herbs and spices. So we're just going to turn this on.
Della, for people who can't eat tomatoes and the recipe calls for that, what do they do?
Usually they just don't. They'll use a white sauce to do some other alternative to it. And usually if there's today, if there's something here that you're allergic to, please, by all means, Do not partake in it. I stopped, probably, I'm going into maybe 4 years now, being pork free. I do not eat any pork, and it's for personal health reasons. But I just had a problem with eating it and then feeling so terrible. My body was giving me signals that it didn't need it, and it's up to us when we get these cues from our bodies to listen and do what they're saying, regardless of who around you. My son told me just the other day. He said, "Mom, I'm so proud of you. We had Christmas with the family, and I knew everything on the table was gonna have pork in it. I knew it, so I brought my own. I brought dishes, and I called my sister-in-law in advance and let her know the situation was. She said that's fine. But everything on the table that I brought was pork free, and the flavor was. And there was none left. I'll put it like that. There was none left. So we can do it. It's doable. It's just learned behavior, and what we have to realize is we want longevity of life. If we want to be able to be healthy when we're older, then it's our responsibility to take care of our bodies. Okay? It's not your doctor's or your children, but it's your responsibility. Okay? And also, I don't like taking medication, so that's another reason I don't take care of myself. When I get older, I don't want to walk around a bag full of medicines because that's money in that bag. So if I can start eating healthy, then first of all, I'm not going to partake and take a large amount. I'm going to eat in moderation on my portion sizes. And we even have little measuring cups in the program that you can actually measure your food out in portion. And if you start to do that, it's really a good way to keep up with how much you're consuming. And then this will lower your grocery bill and lower your weight. And the number one way to do that also is to drink what? Water. I'm going to stay on this water. Drink water is the number one way to lose weight if you're on a diet. So I've got this on low. And all I've added here was the tomato sauce, some tomatoes, and fresh vegetables. And really, to that, we'll just add seasoning. And I'm going to try not to put pepper because I know it'll have me a fish sneeze, and I don't want to do that. But I use a lot of herbs. I really do. Lots of herbs. And even the spices like pepper and garlic, I tend to do that. Now, again, I'm not big on measuring, and I apologize for that today, but we were doing a freestyle cooking demos today. So that's what we're going to have. So this is onion powder, and then I have some garlic powder. I think it's already open. And I usually sprinkle across and back. And I've done this all my life with anything I cook, across and back, and that's all I need. So maybe it's just me, and I don't do real heavy, but just across and back. Good job. Okay, so at home, we know normally at home we don't wear gloves, do we? No. So, but you're washing your hands often. And of course, now we have hand sanitizers, but we recommend that only when you don't have hot running water. So that's going to be very seldom when you're at home. So that's usually when you're out somewhere or you like at church or whatever. That would be a good idea. So we're going to do on this other end. So Carlene's going to watch that for me. So next we're going to do another pasta. This is going to be a cold salad. So in this cold salad, of course, we're going to have the pasta, of course, again. And this one, we're just going to make a vinaigrette. And see, pasta goes a long way. There's like a lot of pasta here. Now, I probably shouldn't have put that much in there because I've got to add the vegetables and other items. So I'll take water. I'll put this here. I'll publish for that. And to the water, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna expose. So I need room in this one. So in this one, I'm gonna add sugar. And for this, it's gonna be about a 1/4 of a cup of sugar. I'm gonna add vinegar and water. And that's as simple as it gets.
You just guesstimating about that vinegar and water?
I do. I do, and I'm sorry, but I'm just a side cook. But I can tell you, it's normally gonna be 2 parts water to 1 part vinegar.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm just gonna stir this until the sugar dissolves. Now, if you, of course, are diabetic, you may want to use a sugar alternative of your choice.
So have you ever used the fresh stevia?
I haven't. I've seen it, but I haven't used it. Can you tell them what it looks like, Miss Karen?
Well, Allison had some at the office,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just starting to grow.
Okay.
But she asked me to pinch off just a tiny leaf, but it was just starting to grow.
Okay.
It was unbelievable how sweet that little tiny leaf of stevia, fresh stevia was.
And it was it green, like from the
It was
plant?
green.
Okay.
I got a question.
Mhm.
So what was the added sugar? I was just thinking normally it's just oil and vinegar or something. Or,
It just
And see, I don't put any oil. So today I'm not doing oil, so it's just the sugar, vinegar, and water. And it's really just gonna offset the bitterness from that vinegar. And then what I'll do is just add Italian seasonings, and then I'll just add it to the pasta. And if you can, of course, this is gonna be depending on your taste buds. If you want to use less sugar or another alternative. And some people do the oil. So I'm trying to do fat-free as possible today.
So if we have to use oil, olive oil is good, 100%
Yes.
olive oil.
Mhm, olive oil. Or the grapeseed oil. Mm-hmm. But the olive oil, yes. It's more affordable.
so how can you tell a good olive oil? Because when they're all supposed to be virgin or extra virgin, they're rated somehow. I don't know how they rate it based.
Google, usually it's cold, some are cold pressed. Some of them, you just, I want to say that the reason it's really important that we use it is the health benefits from it. But usually, like you said, there's the extra virgin, or there's just your regular virgin, and then like of course it's cold pressed. So you want to make sure that I Google things if I don't understand or know, and then it'll share with you.
And I was curious, just because it's expensive don't mean it's the best.
That's right. That's true. So I do a lot of Googling on that too when it comes to consumer, what's the best for the dollar. And then if I'm at Sam's and got a 1 on the end, usually I want to buy it because it's on sale. I'm Miss Cheapo. And they don't take coupons, so yeah. They don't take coupons, so I'll be checking them out with the 1s and 2s. They have like an abundance of it. I buy it. Yes. So then you just take this. You're gonna add this in with your vegetables. So the same vegetables we had here. Of course, I can use the canned ones. What I did, I drained most of the liquid off this, but it's okay because usually I'll use one or the other. I think it came back on there. She lost her power over here. Okay. So we're just gonna put tomatoes in. And then I'm gonna cut the remaining of the peppers. And I like to use the bell pepper. I like to put cucumbers. But to this pasta salad, you could add corn, olives, you can just dice olives up. And I like to use the red onions for the appearance. So all these are nicely diced. And make sure that the utensils that you use are sharp. Like your knife, you want to make sure that your knife is sharp, because cutting with a dull knife can put more work on you. So we're gonna put all these vegetables in, and they're diced really fine. And it's gonna be very colorful too. I like to use the rainbow, because it'll give different colors to your pasta, and then a lot of different shapes. But as you see, you have everything mixed here together, and then we're just gonna pour our vinaigrette into it and toss it. And it's just simple as that. This can be prepared in advance. I was first introduced to this salad at a repast, actually. And the only pasta they used was spaghetti. And you know spaghetti will go a long way, right? So if you have a lot of people to feed, that will be a go-to. And what I like to do to this also is I will add in some Italian dressing. You can add your Italian dressing, or you can add the light ranch, just to give it a good different texture. But can you all see what that looks like?
Now, you would add something else in lieu of the vinegar, or,
I'll add to it.
oh, you'll add on top?
I'll add to, like if I got this one, I won't say brand, and I'll just pour some over it. And sometimes when it sits, sometimes the liquid absorbs in the pasta, so when it starts to get dry, and like right before I serve it, I'll just pour some of this over. I also add cheese. You can dice up turkey,
Okay.
and just it's almost like a meal. Easy, affordable, tasty, and you can prepare it in advance. You can serve this with a side of any meat, or by itself, or with green beans, fish. It goes on and on. Just real simple and very affordable. So within your meal prep, you have 1 box of pasta, half a box of spaghetti, and all this pasta. And then you can do it as a hot dish, and you can do it cold.
Okay, can we go back when you were talking about the two pastas, and you said you do the generic because you like to know what you're eating? That confused me. What do you mean? Is
Because
there less in the generic?
sometimes
brands?
it's fewer fat, sugar, and salt. Yes, ma'am.
And the generic.
In the generics. Not always, but sometimes. And that's why you need to read your labels. Now this one, the only difference is the dietary fiber. And in the generic brand, there's 2 grams, which is 8% of your daily value that you need in carbohydrates. And in the name brand, there's 3 grams. And see, most people are trying to cut back on carbs. So I would choose this over this one. So that's why it's important to read your labels, because you're comparing apple for apple for what's in it. Now there may be a little bit, you never paid attention before?
I'm a generic person myself, but I just never put that together. But there's a difference.
And then you can see, there's not a lot, but like the niacin and maybe one other thing that there's a difference in it. But I'm going to pass this around so you all can see. And that's why in these classes we have it, because we're here to learn and help each other. So if you would look at the labels when you're in the store, read and compare. And most of the time you won't be buying the name brand. unless you just like the color of the box.
The same company makes the generic.
Exactly, especially like on your breads, you know, they'll have grades of it, they'll have a premium, and then another grade, but usually it's the same manufacturer.
In Aldi's.
Mm.
In Aldi's.
You seen it?
Yeah, the same company makes whatever, the real, the brand, and then the
Yes.
generic. So decide if well, I don't like the generic.
And especially cereal in that store, just buy you a box and swap it out. The kids will never know. Hey, y'all gonna get me in trouble. Okay, perfect.
Della, I remember years ago you mentioned that you talked about that some of these companies that, I wouldn't say it's a leftover, but it's from the same company that have the same, they just put a different.
Put a different label on it. Because, you know, there probably aren't a lot of dairies in the area, so it's the same cow. Yeah. Okay, so next we're gonna move right along. So next we're gonna talk about dried beans. How many of us like pinto beans, red beans, any kind of beans? Oh, everybody knows. So one person. Okay, she can't. Okay. So remember what we said. If there's a reason behind, we don't want to go there. We're gonna avoid it. So I'm one of those country girls. I prefer to eat at home. Karen can tell you I'll come into the office within 30 minutes we're eating. Right? And I won't tell them nothing. They'll just start smelling like they're in the building today. But that's how I show my love, and they know that. So I'm old school, like for my mom. My mother owned a restaurant, and I just used to go home from school, sit on the end of the counter, and just watch her, and I was just be fascinated how she could just take nothing and just make a whole table full of food in no time. And it's like, but we're supposed to be poor. This woman, her hands is like, it's just like multitudes will flow. So when everybody would come home from out of state, they come to Rosalie's house. I always come to Mama's house. And she's got to spread in no time. But she knew how to work her magic. And it was a lot of us. And I told her she was like the old lady living in the shoe. We would show up and everybody be at our house. Our pots be this big. And it carried on to me. So my pots are this big. So it's hard for me not to cook in large quantities. But I'm learning. But
I need a question now.
you do.
Yes.
Yes. Because really right now we don't want to be wasting because food's so expensive.
Freeze your stuff. Put them in Ziploc bags and freeze it. That's what I do.
She said that's too much work.
That's a lot of work, and my husband doesn't particularly care for it.
And see, I love when people say that. You know, hey, she got a look. But you know what I tell people all the time? When you go to the grocery store and you walk through that freezer section, you think that they just made that lasagna that morning. Okay, so that's leftover. Exactly. Okay, go figure. Think about it. You know, I love to hear people say stuff because I'm like, okay. Swanson's did not get up this morning. It's been there a long time.
But we don't eat
And they're
like
theory.
frozen and stuff like that.
So I love the leftover days because what I do is everything that's left over gets in a pot and it's probably a stew.
Yeah, so how long should we keep leftovers? I get joked a lot about just eating food.
Well, my kids are the same way with me, believe me. But there is a rule,
Okay.
and on our webpage, there are rules for how long you can keep certain foods. And some can stay longer, usually 2 to 3 days, then you want to discard it. Because usually your refrigerator it gets open multiple times, the temperature changes, fluctuates. And then if it's in some of the drawers that we put it, it's in containers, and then it's in a container, and it's not getting the airflow that it needs. So when in doubt, you want to throw it out because you don't want to stand a chance of getting food poisoning.
The other thing is about meat. If you buy meat from the market,
You need to use it immediately. Freeze.
keep it out of the freezer for 3 days. The third day needs to be going in the freezer.
So the best thing to do is ask yourself, am I really gonna cook this? Am I really going to cook this?
Okay, so what if you make like a spaghetti sauce,
Okay.
and you eat it the night of, you have a lot left over, you put it in the refrigerator, and you really don't bring it back out for about 3 or 4 days, it's still good.
Mm-hmm. but I'm gonna sit here and rest my case. But I can't go behind her. Okay. I do the same thing. My kids say, okay, how long has it been there?
I get asked it every time they come to my house.
Oh, really? But just start freezing. Just say, hey, okay, they don't want it right away. Freeze it or put it in an ice tray and freeze them in little cubes. You can do your herbs like that too. And then when you get ready to use it, just take it out. Put it in your pot, drop it in your stew, whatever, keep on moving.
So you don't get freezer burn on the little open ice cube?
Well, you're going to have it in a zip bag. You're going to put it in a zip bag.
I didn't know.
But no, don't just have it in the ice out.
I was gonna say, ice trays.
Mm-hmm. You can put it in an ice tray, put the ice tray in a freezer bag, the gallon size or bigger, and then you can. But if it's something you're gonna use like within the next week or so, just go ahead and freeze it. Because once it hits the freezer, the chances of bacteria growing is lower. The level is lower, and actually it's not free. At freezing point, bacteria does not grow.
Right.
So just make sure your freezer's working and it hadn't been off for a long time, and then you'll be okay. But they're worried about how long it's been refrigerated.
Right.
Well, meat,
And date it too. Date it and put what's on it. Yes.
if the meat has freezer burn on it, can you still eat it?
You want to discard it. That means it's been exposed. You don't want to stand the chance of getting foodborne illness, okay? Because it can. Okay.
Okay,
So usually if the wrapping on it is loose or whatever, that means some air is going to get in. So what you want to do is wrap it and just put it in a freezer bag because it's designed for that temperature and it's usually thicker.
Yeah.
So it won't be torn or stack stuff on it and pull it away in a tear. And then, but if you already know if you put it in there and if it's not secure, where the air can't flow in it, then it's going to probably get freezer burn.
okay, let's go back to the meat thing. In the refrigerator, 3 days?
That's what
3 to 4 days.
that's what a man told me in the meat department. I could keep it out in the refrigerator for 3 days. If I bought it Monday, I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
But I'm a-
Wednesday I need to be putting it in the freezer. No,
But most of the times, you already know you're not going to cook it. You just put it in the freezer.
My question.
And do it in smaller portions.
Yeah.
Because once you're unthaw, you got to need to use it. Yes, ma'am.
We do one of those delivery, food delivery things. We get it on Friday, I use it the next week. Well, I mean, I just normally put the bag in the refrigerator, so I should be putting the meat.
Because if you're not going to cook it right away. And then when we're unthawing it, how are we unthawing our meat? Are we doing it on the countertop? Are we doing it at the bottom of the refrigerator? How are we doing it?
put it in a bowl and put some cold water on it. Put it in a sieve.
Okay, so let me go back to the USDA on that one. I'm going to need you to think about when you go cook it and how much time you need. Put it in a shallow pit in the bottom of your refrigerator and let it unthaw inside the refrigerator, not on outside. We've done it for years, and we know we've been taken care of for years, right?
Right.
So when we learn better, we do better. So we need to unthaw it. You can't do it in running water. The water needs to be running continuously. You need to change it out every 30 minutes. And most people are not doing that yet. Because what happens once you put it in that water, the temperature changes from frozen, it gets warmer. And every time it gets warmer, every 15 seconds or so, that bacteria is doubling. Or you know what, you got bacteria after you.
What about thawing in the microwave?
You got to cook it immediately. And watch the temperature. Because sometimes all microwaves are not created equal, and sometimes it'll be cooking. So you make sure that it's at a preferably recommended time. Okay, so
Okay,
yes.
while we're on that subject,
Yes.
Now, if you're defrosting in the microwave, and then you get it out and you see something, it just started cooking. What, other than cutting that off, is it still good to?
You need to continue. You need to continue to cook it because it started cooking it. You need to finish cooking it. You don't have to cut it off. Just continue.
Okay, okay.
But usually, I try to avoid microwave unless it's like a last minute resort. Because usually, most people are not going to take it out of the wrap. They're not going to take it out of what's it's in, and you're really not supposed to microwave with all that plastic. Okay.
While we're on meats, I have a tip that like something men may already know, but I love fresh fish. Like I'm talking about somebody when they caught it, I caught it, like fresh fish, right? So sometimes we don't feel like cleaning it, and a lot of people feel like they're saving themselves some time later. Okay, clean the fish, then freeze it, but you're doing more harm. If you don't feel like cleaning the fish, freeze it, submerge it in water.
Okay.
Get a Tupperware container and submerge the fish with the guts in it, fresh, in water, and freeze it like that. When you unthaw it, it's as fresh as the day it was caught.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Did you mean
I'm like this.
Okay, so far we got 2 things to sample, and we're gonna do one last item, and then
Fish for a second.
You're asking about the beans.
Yeah.
yes.
Remember, you started off about the dry beans. I know we got interrupted.
Yeah, we got interrupted a little bit. So on the dry beans, for all of us who like beans, I don't do the method that they recommend, and I apologize. I'm really bad when I'm cooking on something. But I wash my dry beans. I pick them, and then I put them in water and cook them until they're done.
What do you mean?
That means like in this package, there may be some dirt, there may be some rocks, there might be some partial pieces, broken pieces.
It's separated.
So what,
Separated, the wheat from the tare.
I know that. She showed us the bag, so I wonder what she meant by it.
Oh, yes. So you just take it out, and then when I was little, my mom would take like a big bowl. She'd have one bowl on one side, one on the other. She'd have water, and then she would go in her hands and actually pick through.
Right.
And then you put the good ones on one side or discard the others. And then she would wash them. Some people soak them overnight,
Yes.
pour that off,
Yes.
and that releases a lot of the gases out of it. But I don't, I just cook mine.
so you don't soak yours overnight, you wash them and then you cook them?
I just watch it with mine.
You do?
This is that.
And they always turned out good for me. Now, I've done the other way, but to me, it makes them a little color. It's not as dark.
Yeah.
And then if you cook them and then turn them down low, then that will make them get real thick.
Really? That's the trick.
Yeah.
What's that?
You cook them and then you turn them low and then you let them cook. I put a lid on that thick enough.
And if you cook them too long, they can taste bad. If you soak them too long, they can.
Well, I think it just takes away the nutritional value. I'm not sure, but I just never do it that way. Now, I know it's recommended on the bag to cook them that way, and I see a lot of people do
It
it.
just cuts down on your cook time.
Yeah, it does. It does. It makes them softer. It doesn't take as long. And a lot of people do their the steamers or the Instapots. So that's cutting back. Anybody use Instapots? Air fryers?
Yes.
How do y'all like it?
I know.
It tastes just like it was. Oh, I love it. I think
That's wonderful. You said you don't? Okay, why do you not like yours?
The air fryer does make no sense.
It does.
Because you can put it in the oven, larger amounts on a tray, to get the same results, and it's a more even bake.
Okay, so what about the amount of fat and oil?
Okay, so there are
Some cooking. And what I do, if I know I've got a lot to do, I just start earlier. And I just do bigger batches, but I've got a huge one, and it's got racks. It's got 3 layers on it. And it's only 2 of us, so that's another issue. I don't have a lot. I don't cook for a lot. So the Instant Pot, it's like a pressure cooker.
Oh, pressure cooker.
It's a method of pressure cooking.
Okay.
And it really speeds up the cooking, like more than probably a third, sometimes half.
Okay.
So I'm adding cucumbers also, and I added some green onions. So there's quite a bit of onion here. You all come on in. And that goes in the cold pot.
Now, in your experience cooking healthy,
Mhm.
you can help us out with this myth. In your experience, is it true that healthier eating is more expensive?
It can be. It can be. And the reason why, because most people like to buy organic foods. And all that means that it's no pesticides, herbicides added to the vegetables in the process. So it can be more expensive. But we do recommend fresh versus your canned. And the next two will be frozen foods. Because usually they just flash freeze it, and it's from the field, it's frozen into the market. So that would be the second choice, other than fresh. And when it comes to being economical with it, bell peppers is really cheaper when it's off season to buy it frozen anyway. Because like a bell pepper is like $2 or $3, and there's a blend in the freezer. They may even have onions in it too. Bell peppers. You don't like it because it's sort of mushy?
Yeah, that gets kind of mushy.
Yeah.
For stuff like that.
For stuff like this.
Green
yeah.
beans and.
Or if you're gonna cook it, if I'm gonna have it like something fresh in the salad, it would be. But if I'm gonna make a casserole or something, it would be more affordable about it blend.
Yeah.
But that's the order, but usually it is, but beneficial as far as the value when it comes to your body, then you put a price on it. And how much is medicine when you're buying it? Okay, so you gotta think about it.
Exactly.
And that's why our SNAP program, for those who cannot, oftentimes it's our seniors, and they have a program that's simplified elderly application, and they don't go through the DHR like the normal families do, but through the state, and a lot of seniors can qualify. And they deduct things like in their prescription medicines, a lot of the taxes they pay or whatever.
SNAP does.
SNAP does. But there's a simplified application for seniors and disabled individuals.
Well, the Meals on Wheels that they send out for seniors, is that the healthy stuff? Is that healthy? Because our doctors and parents get that.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Okay.
I know that.
So, I'm sorry, I'm gonna answer her question. I was just being ignorant. But the Meals on Wheels, sometimes individuals who are seniors, that's the only meal that they have.
Yeah.
And they may not have anybody even come and do a welfare check on it.
That's right.
So it is important that program is around. I did talk to one of the nutritionists that's there. They have a list of items that the individuals have to get throughout the course of a week. Now, whether they give it in one meal or stretch it out, as long as they get that number of servings in. But sometimes I'll go in and teach at some of the senior sites that have those meals, and it's like a lot of carbohydrates on one meal. So I was concerned about that, but that's how it was explained to me. But again, it's an awesome program.
Okay, so they were speaking about organic.
Mhm.
There was a program on the news this week saying that all things that it said is organic. It really isn't. So you gotta be careful. Just because it states it's organic.
And it's just like the bottled water. Because, it's hard to regulate. You have like millions of different companies out there. And this could very well be tap water.
Exactly.
So the best thing to do is get your filter and make your own, because it's expensive. If you're spending $2 for a bottle of water every time you walk into a convenience store, that could be expensive. So that could be a way you're saving money to spend on something else. Or buy you some seeds and plant your garden. So just get your filtration system or an inexpensive brand from the store, put it on your tap. And oftentimes the bottled water does not have fluoride in it either. So you gotta think about that. You have small children, they need that, and we do too. Okay? So make your own water. Put your little name on it. She got her little flavor in it. You can put some cucumbers in it. It could be some lemon juice, lime juice, fresh strawberries, raspberries. Just, to alter the taste if you just don't like the taste. But I was in Selma, and this don't have to be on this video, but and I'm not promoting anyone, but there was a company, and I think as I said that, the bean says here, do not have pork. And what I do as an alternative is I use liquid smoke.
So what?
Because when you're after, why do we put pork in our
Flavor.
pots? For the what?
Flavor.
For the flavor. So to put garlic powders, onions, you can put bell peppers in your beans, and you're like, okay, this tastes pretty good.
It's liquid smoke. I got some at home.
It's actually a flavoring, and it's just it gives the smoke of hickory or mesquite, a wood, and it's the same thing as you're gonna have a smoked piece of ham hock. Which at the times, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, the time I was buying pork, putting ham hock in it, I couldn't taste it no way. It didn't taste smoky to me. It did. But this would taste a little smoky. And then you thought it was you.
Yeah,
It's like you can't taste
yeah, I'm like,
anything.
what?
Yeah, but you have to pay extra money.
Yeah.
And it's not extra money. But you'd be better off than smoking on the grill stuff. But in your barbecue grill, it's smoky. But I'm not recommending it. Okay, so I think it's time for to do some sampling. I'm gonna show you with the chicken, and then that's gonna be the last thing. So I saved the chicken for last because of the bacteria. So to give an example of what cross-contamination is if I was using the knife that I'm using prior to using it on my vegetables, I used it on the chicken and I didn't wash it. And then I used it on something special like the items we use here because we didn't cook it, right? Because usually if you cut it and you cook it, it could kill the germs, possibly. But you don't want to take that chance either, so you don't cross-contaminate. So usually I have a totally separate cutting board that I'm going to use for my meat. And they have them in several colors. So you can do a red for your meat, green could be for your vegetables. But at home I always have you two, or sometimes I'll do it on separate sides of my sink. And I'll just have knives set out for each one. But you don't want to cross-contaminate. Because what happens when you do that? You get sick. So, with that said, after you wash the beans, and I do put olive oil in them. Put olive oil or vegetable, some type of vegetable oil, because that way it's not the drippings from the fat. Y'all know we used to be bad about that, right? Now, let me ask this question. It's off the subject a little bit. How many of us do the bacon grease and sit it on top of the stove? Raise your hand.
Not anymore.
You don't use it. So you just throw it away.
No, I keep it.
So what do you do?
Why you do?
Well, I keep it because just like you said about the beans, I got a husband that says you gotta put that in it.
Okay. So do we know what the word rancid means?
Yes.
So that means that it spoils.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
By sitting on top of your stove or counter without being refrigerated. So if you're going to use it,
You put it in a jar and put it in the freezer.
put it in the refrigerator. Don't freeze it, don't leave it out. If you have to use it, I'm not encouraging you to use it. Well,
Can you say it again? What? That's for the people on the side.
See, she's trying to get me in trouble, y'all. Y'all was never asking me back. Coming on. So Miss Jackie, where's Miss Jackie? Okay, say find She's trying to throw me in the bus. But this is what's recommended, is that we don't leave it out, because it's just like leaving your meat out at room temperature, it's spoiled.
Oh, all those years ago,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
grandparents.
Yes. Nobody told us, because we didn't know.
But meat was different. The meat was different back then. We raised our own beef. They didn't have steroids. It's just different. Now they have that one where I raised my own beef. And it's always been.
Yes, ma'am.
How long can you leave butter out there?
It shouldn't be left out, it's just because it's dairy.
But you can't leave it out.
You can sit it out and it'll stay solid, but you can refrigerate, baby. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's my new friend. Okay, but listen, then you can go in with your herbs and spices the same. Season them with love.
Say that again.
You can season your beans with love. So put your herbs and spices, garlic. I always put garlic. Because that's good for your heart. Yes,
Going
ma'am.
back to that bacon grease. If we put it in the refrigerator, we good.
You could. Don't leave it out. So now that's left, look, that, leave your home, throw all that out. Thank you. Okay, so it's time, we're about to wind it down. Yes, ma'am.
I know you're gonna wind down, but are you gonna do a dip or something?
I'm gonna do one. I'm gonna show the chicken. I showed the chicken last. I actually showed the chicken while y'all sampled. So I'm gonna do a dip. Now this is a store-bought avocado dip, but you can also make an avocado dip at home with the what? Avocado, guacamole, and sour cream.
Oh, really?
So I got a bowl right here. So how many of us know that avocado is good for us? So you want to make sure and store it. Be careful, because there's a really big seed inside. And usually you can twist it and it'll come right out. And you want to make sure that your avocado is soft. I need to pop it in and pick it up now.
Della.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Greg was talking about is the avocado. Now, why is it called guacamole?
Well, I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna have my.
Why is it
coworker. She's from Chile, so she really knows. So why is it called guacamole?
That's just this mashed up, you know, and you make it like a dip. That's the
It's just the name of it. It's just the name.
No avocado dip, but guacamole.
It's guacamole.
Oh,
See, I said that because that's what's on that. That's what's on that container. Said, what it say? Avocado.
Now, when it's kind of
Exactly,
brown,
guacamole.
when it's kind of brown, then you eat that.
Yes, because it's right. Actually, the softer it is, the better. You can manage. You can tell if it's not right because you wouldn't be able to do this. It becomes really creamy.
So how long does it, it's real hard to find a soft one in the grocery store. They're all like rocks. How long does it, or is there something I can do?
To ripen it,
Yeah.
you can put it in a brown bag. It's almost like the bananas. You know another way to ripen it? To make the avocado ripen. You gotta tell me each time. It's almost like a plantain also. It'll be like the plantain. And I should have put this. I should have put this in and twisted it. It would have come out better. Y'all can forgive me on that one. It's very sharp, so I'm trying to be careful with it. I was trying to do this, but it won't go in if I don't want to get it. And now we're gonna practice that. There it went off. Okay. So this becomes soft. It can be a little bit softer, and actually, the browner it is on the outside, it's just like the plantain. It's gonna be ripe and ready to eat. And you can buy green if you know you're not gonna use it for like next week or so. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the best part of this is gonna be the seed. So if you have a really good high-speed blender, blend the seed up in your dip.
And have strong tea.
Yes.
Have strong tea.
Yes. But it's so hard I couldn't do it. This method I couldn't do it.
What kind of blender do you have that will do
A
that?
ninja would do it.
I got a ninja, but
It will. You got some really high-powered blenders. And listen, they're so high-powered they'll make soup.
Yeah, mine
does. They will. So there are some that are really high-powered. But if you can grind this, not the outside, but the seed, it has a lot of nutritional value in it. And it's just like a lot of the things that we, like a lot of the fruit, like an apple, you know, we want to peel it, but a lot of the nutrients is in the peel. High in fiber. So to this you can add red onion. What else could you add to your guacamole?
A little lime juice.
Lime juice,
Tomato.
cilantro, tomatoes, garlic. What else?
chips.
Pepper. Jack, I'm not coming back. They are bad. Okay. I know it, right? I had a little small. She gonna find me a spoon. So she said you can add pepper flakes. We can add pepper. Anybody use paprika a lot? What do y'all like about the paprika?
Smoke.
You like the smoky? Yes.
Do you ever use slap your mama? Or does it have
I do. I just bought some this weekend. Everybody's raving about it.
Yeah, this is
What store do you find it?
anywhere.
Yeah, slap your mama is pretty good. Not that I suggested about the but I survived. But it is really good. Now they do have different grades of temperature. So some of it's like original, or some of it's pretty spicy. But remember what I said, we can make our own, right? So I'm gonna add some onion. Just a little. So y'all already know everything we cooked today's got onion, so y'all won't be kissing on anybody. So why do you like onion? It adds flavor. It's good for your heart too. And it's in the family like the garlic.
Yeah, she said
So we're gonna have a combination. So the last thing that we have, I think I come up with sausage. I'm gonna add those red onions, and I like the color, and I'm gonna add some tomatoes. Y'all ever put tomatoes in yours?
Yes.
Somebody said, Anybody can't have tomatoes?
You can't, can you, Mary?
She can't have it, okay. I won't put any in there. Because you already not there to have all this other stuff. So I won't put it in there, but I'll have some up here if y'all want to put some. What about some type of chili peppers? Y'all think that would be good? Like Rotel?
Yeah.
What about, some other pico, what about cream cheese? Think about it. Use your imagination when you're cooking, because you can't mess up unless I put, maybe something really, really bad in something bad. And sometimes you'll stumble up on something that you really like, just by experiment. Really did. So cream cheese in with sour cream, and I know that Super Bowl Sunday is coming up, so you can have all that. You can dice your avocado. We got a lot going on here. I love it though. Okay, so I'm gonna add her some sour cream. She's chopping over here, chopping away over here. This is Carlene, you guys. This is my coworker. She works in the Madison County area in Limestone County. So this makes it a dairy product. Okay. And then you can add your seasoning, like garlic powder. Cross it back, no matter what size the bowl. We put onions in it already. Chicken cut pepper. And that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna have both of these here. I can sample and see which one.
Oh, okay. You don't have any chip?
So you got the chip.
What's all that conscience back there? Did I sit back?
There's some over here. Hey, y'all had to know it. I'm gonna get somebody to open this because I don't know if I can. These gloves, when you have gloves, I promise you, they're not your friend. I may have some scissors back here.
Them the ones with the lime in it. Oh, man.
Okay, so we're gonna make one last, if I can find it, I'm gonna use this container. It's okay if those have been in it, so we're gonna do one last salsa. Because y'all said we just, tomatoes. So we're gonna do tomatoes. And we're gonna do rotel. I said rotel. This is the one only recipe I had.
Did you guys, Della?
What'd she say?
When there was about sauce on here in conversation, tell me what you said.
Oh,
You don't like hot stuff?
no. Oh yeah, I said I just never thought to use canned tomatoes to make salsa. I just,
Look,
I know,
in the
I
wintertime, when
I
they're
know.
$3 a pound,
Do you drain the juice off of it if you're making that?
usually I don't, because it's not that much and I'm gonna add some more things to it. Okay, I'm dicing these. I'm gonna add, usually I use fresh cilantro. You like the smell of that fresh cilantro? But I've got a powdered one that I purchased at the restaurant supply store. And because every time I buy cilantro, I never use it because it goes bad, right? So I started just buying it dry. But you could dry your own herbs and use those as well. So we're gonna do the red onions. To this, you could also add black beans. You could add corn. What else could you add? What else would you all put in yours? Yeah, garlic will go in. And lemon or lime juice. It just offsets the acid. I'm trying to go as fat-free as possible. So she said she would add some olive oil. Avocado.
if you're going fat-free, it's possible that you do fat-free sour cream, fat-free cream cheese.
But remember, we were cooking from what we had in our refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes when we do that, we use what we have on hand.
But that's what you.
But usually, yes, ma'am. Try and use your lowest fat content in order to maintain a certain weight and health, the health of your heart. Because we are what we eat, and we are in control of what goes in our bodies.
I can't tell the difference anyways, fat-free, sugar-free,
Now, on the milk products, you probably can by what you see, but the nutritional value is all the same. But the only difference in the skim, between skim and whole, is going to be the amount of fat that's in it. So I'm going to add some black pepper, and I'm going to use just a little Greek seasoning in this one.
Greek seasoning?
Yeah, in our Italian.
What restaurant supply store do you know?
I could go to the one in Birmingham, off Lakeshore.
Would that be Nimsy for us?
Policy.
Policy. Oh,
There's another one that's local too. What's it?
There's Dykes and there's Policy.
No, that's the one on University. Gordon.
Yeah.
Now, your restaurant in Town Creek?
I don't have any longer.
Oh, you know, okay.
It consumed too much of my time for my children at the time. But that was back in 2000. Okay. So, to do this, I just need the lemon juice. She can't open it. Okay.
Now, do you
Now to
actually,
this you can add mango. You could add some peaches. The fresh peaches was in season. You could use that as well. You like mango? So you could add, especially if you have kids who don't like certain foods, I do recommend you just get your processor and just go to work. Because mine used to always say, I don't eat this and I don't eat that, but they do. Because it's in there. I'm like, yes, you do. You just don't eat it. Mama, I don't like it. Okay. Carrots and meatloaf. It's awesome. Just grind it up. Put it in the meatloaf. That's a filter.
That's a fresh one.
Beg your pardon?
That's a fresh one.
This was onion, yellow onion. And then I did put some garlic powder in it. You can put black pepper in the seasoning to your taste. But basically all this is your tomatoes. And you can also go back and add some of your bell peppers in there too. Just to keep it simple. It's usually cilantro and tomatoes and onions. And then you can add your garlic powder. So you all see me shake a lot of salt. Y'all see any of that? Do we normally do that at home?
Yes.
Because when you eat these chips, guess what's on it? Even though it's lightly salt, it's still salt. So oftentimes we already have what we need for the day. So 2,300 milligrams is what's recommended for sodium per day.
So a pinch of
That's not a
salt
lot.
and stuff.
or just remove the shakers off the table. That's a key.
So sea salt?
Well, I did when I boiled it, but very, very minimal. The beans are probably more salty than anything. Okay, so I'm gonna clean this off, and then we're gonna set the things out, and you all can bring your plates around. You're gonna do samples. You're gonna tell me what you think. And I will go ahead and add just a little of the dressing. You sure? And I'm gonna show you the chicken, what I did to the chicken too. So the chicken was actually baked, it was oven baked. And to that, I just add herbs and spices. And put it in a dish. And I cook it uncovered. I bake this for 2 hours at 350. And you can go down to an hour and a half, just depends. And I did smoked paprika. Some of the items that were put on it. And some of the things, like you said, can be expensive, but if you buy it in bulk like this, it lasts a long time. But what I do recommend with your herbs and spices that you want to make sure and store them in an area where it's not in direct sunlight. And then you can also, if you have small containers of it, you can store it in the door of your freezer. And it'll help the flavor along. Because things like sage, you might not use that until Thanksgiving, Christmas. And then look at your dates on it, and then you want to discard it. Okay, so what we have is our piece of chicken, our poultry. I'm gonna move all this out of the way. So all we did to the chicken take it out the package. And any of your packaging with your poultry or any meat, you want to throw it away right away. You know, people all the time they want to re-rinse and reuse. But when it comes to your poultry, throw it in the trash. Okay? Right away. Wrap it. And also, if you marinate, throw your marinade away. Because some people have actually marinated their chicken, they grilled their chicken, and they brought it back to the table and they poured some marinade on top. People actually do. Yes. So, one of the reasons why we don't want to do that, first of all, because it hasn't cooked and it's full of bacteria. Okay? So you want to make sure that it's not touching anything that has touched anything, because it's loaded with what? Bacteria. So chicken is known to have what in it? Salmonella. I'm just going to do it. And really, I really don't have to touch it. I'm just going to use and show you what ingredients I put on it. So I buy this everything seasoning, which I do a lot of seasoning. So I do one side, and then it was baked. So I had the garlic and pepper seasoning, and this would be one of those Sam's Club deals. Y'all can know where I shop. Now on this particular one, I did use Martin's seasoned salt. So I did get some salt on it. And then on with this was gonna be the smoked paprika. That adds the color and flavor. I'm just gonna flip this over. And then when seasoning, because some people season just one side, you can't season just one side. You're gonna have to season both sides. And on this side, I'll do garlic powder. I normally don't put that much on there. And then pepper. And I make sure every part of that chicken is completely coated. So you can roll it and then lay it over on the side. And see everything. And what I normally do, if there's skin, I'll move the skin and even season underneath the skin. And especially if you do turkey meat, you can inject it as well. You do injectable seasoning with butter, and that's where your flavor is. It's going to get inside, and every part of it will be juicy and tasty. Okay. All right. That one got going. That was just for the purpose of show. I'm gonna put this in a whole nother container. It's gonna have to be worked on. So y'all just a second to clean all this up, and then we're gonna sample.
That's pretty fast.
I know, right? Chicken's so expensive.
Greg, would it hurt?
How do
In the oven. I know, I gotta keep the eggs now. Yes, I kept those eggs. No, just kidding. What's he say? Did you watch the real cousin? Right here. And see, it'll be everywhere, all over the kitchen, all in the sink. And most people don't take the time to bleach it. Okay, what's your question now? Because the water splatters, and then it's all over the place. And most people don't take the time to clean and sanitize afterward. Clean and heat it. So just think. It's still recommended.